Should we be investing in Tasmania? That's the question that we had on our lips, and we wanted to understand from a local what and how we should be thinking about the Tasmanian property market. After all, it has been the largest growth capital city over the past 10 years, which is pretty interesting, right? So in this overview, we are talking to Melissa Burtt, a property manager and real estate agent over there in Devonport, which is the furthest part north, well, not the furthest part north, but the little bit in the center where that, the spirit of Tasmania drops in on. But kind of expands on the value of some of the areas there. Where are the places to be thinking about? Where are some of the places to be avoiding? What's interesting from a yield perspective is it's about 5%. So that's pretty good. 5% plus opportunity for a rental yield is really good. We talk about things that you need to be thinking about and considering when purchasing in Tasmania. What are the contracts set up? How are they structured? And also from a property management perspective, what are the new tenancy laws that are in consideration? How should we think about property management? There's a whole heap of stuff. Hey everyone, my name is Joe Tucker, and together with Jeff Miles, we created Australia's largest property investment community. And each week we interview top property experts and we dissect everything they know in an hour or two for a live session for you guys. So jump in, jump on, join the group, and we will see you on the inside with this awesome conversation with Melissa Burtt of LJ Hooker in Devonport. See you in there. What's the price? Like, what's the entry level? Like, what should we be kind of thinking about price wise for some of these areas? Price wise for some of these areas.
I can't speak too much about Launceston because it's not something that I follow, but we can talk closer about that in my patch. All along the northwest coast. So the northwest coast runs from just a little bit further out from Devonport. And when people talk about the northwest of Tassie, it actually encompasses a lot of the west coast as well, where there's not a lot of population. And that's where our mining predominantly is, down there as well. But I'll just talk about the actual part of Tasmania in the cradle bit, so the top part of the love heart.
Okay. Yep.
If you want to think about an entry level there, I mean, we're looking at properties at the moment that you could purchase and put a tenant in tomorrow at $400,000 would be a pretty good price point.
Wow, that's unreal. And what would the rent be on that? Like what kind of rent would
so if that's a 3-bed, 1-bath, where somewhere around $420 to $440 a week is realistic. We could
5.3, 5.4% yield.
Yeah, absolutely. We could potentially push it higher, just depending on the demand at the time. So just thinking about my own portfolio, we've got some of those 3-bed, 1-baths at $450 a week.
50, okay.
That's interesting. You just hit on your kind of portfolio. When you're looking, we're going a little bit off track here, but I think I'd like to touch on an interesting thread I just picked up potentially. When you're selecting properties to buy in Tassie or around the place, what do you sort of look at in your investing?
I'm looking at one right now at the moment. I've seen a real shift towards, the 3-bed, 1-bath is always going to be the mainstay. I think that's always going to be pretty easy to tenant out. Maybe it's a consequence of COVID, but and I'll talk about this a little bit later on if you give me an opportunity, but the amount of tenants that we see that need to go from a 3-bed, 1-bath family home and they're separating, so we've got some of that happening like everywhere in Australia, and we suddenly need 4-bedroom homes because we're combining families, and that's happening a lot more often. So at the moment I'm looking more for a 4-bedroom house. I just think there's opportunity there. The other side of that is, and we don't have a lot of that here in Tassie, the other side of that is we probably need more 2-bedrooms, 1-bedrooms if planning schemes would allow it, but that's difficult. But just people are living on their own a lot more.
So I wanted to hear though about Devonport. So give us the lay of the land. What's going on? What are the sort of pockets that we need to? Should we bring a map up, Joe, so we can?
Yeah, do that.
Yeah, because I like to sort of think about what I'm talking about. So what I'm hearing about.
Good.
So
think about what you're talking.
So bring it up. But overall, what do you sort of see as the key sort of things happening around Devonport and surrounds?
We've had a really interesting few years here in Devonport with lots going on. I think most people would know the Spirit of Tasmania docks here in Devonport and has done for quite some time. Back when I was buying my first property, my first marital home in 2001, the market did pretty much what it's just done recently as well, just went phenomenal. And a lot of people say, oh, that's because the Spirit of Tasmania started coming in from Sydney. It was almost like Sydney had never heard of us and the Spirit of Tasmania was coming in and boom, it went. I don't think that was it at all, my personal opinion. So we're really lucky that we've got the spirits coming in and we've got new spirits on the way. They've actually hit the water. One of them has hit the water, which is really exciting. They're being built elsewhere, but they are coming. So that will increase our capacity for freight and passenger services into Devonport.
Yep.
But it's actually really nice to have the Spirit of Tasmania down there in Devonport. If you drive down to the city now, you literally come down the hill into the main centre and the Spirit of Tasmania is there. And sometimes it's got fairy lights on the top of it and it's just really beautiful. So we're lucky we've got that, and we've got a couple of other freight companies that come in and out of the port as well. And Cement Australia has a production site not far away from here, and they employ a lot of people, and they actually ship. So they bring the cement, and I'm really clueless with all this stuff, and my son actually worked at the place, so I should know more. But they put the cement on the trains and bring it down to the port, and it goes into silos and then onto the ship, and off it goes. So Devonport's lucky that we've got that. We've got a really forward-thinking council as well. So a few years ago, they developed the Living City Plan just to reinvigorate Devonport, because what's happening is the Spirit of Tasmania docks on the eastern side of the river, and anybody coming in as a tourist would get off the boat and follow the signs to Launceston, maybe Cradle Mountain, although Cradle Mountain tended to be the last stop on their Tassie tour. So they'd come back down through that way. So Living City was designed for Devonport, and what that meant was we've got a brand new Novotel hotel down on the waterfront, which looks phenomenal and has provided lots of employment and lots of opportunity. So that's really nice. So you can see there the main part of Devonport is on the western side of the river, and the CBD is down on the river as well. And then we've got
all of this area gets attention, and then people just move on because they're like, okay, that's all I need to see. They don't cross over to this side of the river to check it out.
No, they didn't. But that's better now that we've got the Living City and people are hanging around. Tourism is pretty big on the northwest coast, so we've just got to make sure.
I was going to say that actually, that's the thing that we didn't really touch on in the industries, like tourism in Tassie. You've got a lot of adventure and a lot of sort of people. You've got something for everyone. You've got things such as sort of Fresnay, which is probably a little bit from Devonport, but I'm sure you've got massive sort of attractions, and you've got that King Island as well, which I don't know, can you get to King Island from Devonport, or how does that sort of, imagine stop off?
You could on a boat if you were keen, but most people fly.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean there's all that sort of whether you've got adventure, whether you want to go and do some hiking, you're more leisure focused, you've got all that, and you've got quite a diversified economy there by the looks of it. What's the different industries there, Joe? You've got heaps of them.
Mountain biking is huge as well. Here now, we've got lots of mountain bike stuff happening, lots of trails up through the Kentish region, which is only half an hour from here. And at Latrobe as well, they've got a really good mountain bike trail running through there.
This is the biggest thing I think that investors need to kind of get over is like what the listing price the agent has put on. It's like, it doesn't matter. It's what it's worth. So whatever the agent thinks it's worth is not, it doesn't really matter. It's like you have to work out your own value, because what you see out there in the market, agents are underquoting, and then there are other ones that are like going fair market, and then there are others that are going like above for some silly reason. And you guys as an investor need to work out, okay, where I know the market so well that yes, she's, it's listed on offers for over 440. You know what? 440 is a really good buy. I'm going to try and get it for 440. If you're in, Perth or South Australia, it'll be offers over 440 and it'll go for,
560 or something like that.
800 or something, yeah.
Yeah, and there was lots of discussion about that when the market was really hot down in Hobart in particular. People were saying that's just ridiculous. People are coming in and offering an amazing amount over the asking price. It's all about supply and demand. We all know that. We're all smart enough to know it's about supply and demand. And Joe, you are correct. You can offer whatever you like as a buyer. You don't have to offer over the asking price if you don't see value in that.
Yeah.
And we are seeing that. You've only got to look on agents' Facebook pages every day of the week. Price reduction, price adjustment, price improvement. Don't know who that is an improvement for, but anyway.
Bit of a marketing term, perhaps.
Maybe. I mean, we've used offers over since 2017, so not long after I started in real estate, my business partner keeps stats every week. Like, he's just phenomenal at it. And he said to me as soon as I walked in the door to start my brand new job, the market's about to turn and we're going to start using offers over as a pricing strategy. And we've done it ever since then, and it's served us really well.
Okay. What change?
Why does that work?
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, and the reason we use it in our business, it works if you put the property on the market value. It's not about underquoting and cheating people to come in and have a look at the property. You have to have a discussion with your vendor around, this is what I think the fair market value is, and this is what we're going to go on the market at. And then if we get enough competition from interested parties, that's when we can expect offers to come in over the asking price. But the mistake I see people make is, I'd like to use your offers over pricing, but I want to start it at something that's overinflated. It's never going to work. You're just not going to get the buyers in. With all of the transparency now around information available on properties, buyers are smart. Let's not underestimate buyers. They know what is fair market and they know what is overpriced, and you've just got to be really transparent about it, I think. And we always are in our business. So it doesn't matter what market you're in, offers over works. It doesn't have to be in a hot market or a rising market, because at the moment I don't believe we are in a rising market. We're in a balanced market, but we're still selling over the asking price.
What drove that last sort of 2015, sort of 2016 kind of really boom? Was it purely affordability and investors getting in, or what was the catalyst for that? And what should people look out for?
Definitely affordability. Yeah, okay. I would say. Back then, so the data that I've got, hang on, just give me 1 second. Again, supply and demand. If I go back to the data that we kept, in September of 2017, in Devonport, there was 170 properties on the market.
Yep.
Wow.
In July of 18, it started to drop pretty quickly and the prices started to go. So that says to me it was just all about affordability. By July 18, we'd hit 97. So we were below 100 properties on the market in Devonport, and it just kept going down and down and down and down. But prices kept going up. The lowest we got to was in May 21. There was 29 houses, and only houses, I'm not talking dwellings, but 29 houses available at May 21. So that's when we really saw things were that really hectic part of the market from then on in. But I think it was just purely affordability. You could buy a really great home in a really great location for not much money. The rental yield was quite low. So I can remember we were renting probably for $260, $280 a week back then. So that has caught up. The rental yield has caught up to where we're at there as well. We're back up to 75 houses now, if anyone's keen to know. 75 houses on the market in Devonport this week.
Yeah. Property management considerations. So if we're a first time in Tassie, but we've got a decent portfolio around the country, what do I need to know about Tassie that's unique compared to other states?
I think probably the first thing, and this comes up a lot when we're selling properties, we'll put something on the market, we'll have an investor they'll contact us and say, can I have the Section 32?
Mm-hmm.
We don't have that.
The unconditional exchange, I imagine.
We don't have that in Tassie.
There ain't no cooling off?
There is now. There is a cooling off period in the contract, absolutely. But you have to do all of your own due diligence. So in Tasmania, properties are sold, they can be sold as is, so we don't have to provide any information to you about the property at all. We don't even have to tell you like anything, nothing. Is that council approved? Well, you can check it out, that kind of stuff. So no Section 32, so be really aware that you'll have to do your own due diligence, and that's around easements or everything you want to know about the property. So it's not difficult to do. Your conveyancer will do that for you, but you've just got to structure the contract correctly as a buyer.
After the fact. The conveyancer will do it after you have it under contract.
Well, yeah, unless you put a due diligence clause in the contract. So you can put a due diligence clause in there which will allow your conveyancer to do all those checks for you before the contract becomes unconditional.
Yeah. So my understanding is a standard contract, essentially, once it's executed signed by both parties, you don't then have a finance clause, or what, do you have things like that?
Yeah, so it can still be subject to finance, subject to sale if you need to do that as well. All those things can happen. But if you really are cautious about what you're purchasing and you want to do all those checks first, you can put a due diligence clause in there and get all those things done prior to it going unconditional. Now, when we were in a really hot market, if that was in a contract as a vendor and when I had 7 others to look at, I probably wouldn't have come anywhere near you. So just be aware of that in a multiple offer scenario, but also be cautious. To know what you're buying, do some research is what I would say there. Building inspection. So in Tasmania, it's not building and pest. The other thing is a deposit in Tasmania. I don't know whether everybody still thinks a 10% deposit. Whenever I'm drafting a contract, I'm dealing with somebody from the mainland. They want to give me 10%. Don't need that much because it just sits in my trust account here until settlement. I don't need that much. I do need a good deposit. Don't come at me with $500. That's probably not going to cut it. Right. A couple of recent changes in our sales contracts. You mentioned the cooling off period. We do have that. That's been in for a little while. So don't be scared to use a cooling off period. Again, if you're in a multiple offer scenario though. Sorry, Joe.
Sorry. Yeah, so how much is it to terminate under the cooling off?
You've got 3 days.
And what's the penalty?
None.
Oh, great. Okay. And so recently in Queensland, you're not able to increase your rent over 12 months. What I found very interesting, and I need to get some clarity on that, is maybe I won't talk about it, but you can't raise your. I haven't got an answer. I don't know, so I'm not gonna yell it out. You can't raise your rents in 12 months. Can you do a 6 months lease and then raise your rent, and then a 6 months lease and raise your rent and a 6 month lease and keep doing it that way? No, it's a 12 month.
No. So you can only raise the rent once every 12 months. So the way we do it here is if we don't know the tenant, brand new tenant to us, we've never met them, they'll get a 6 month lease to start off with. Do they like living there? Are they the right tenant for the property? Because we still do have no grounds eviction end of lease in Tasmania as well. So at the end of that 6 months, if it's not working out, then, that's okay. End the lease and go again. But if they're staying, what we would do here is it's hard to predict what the rent's going to be in 6 months' time because the market is a little bit like that. We would probably put them on for another 6 months and give the tenant certainty that at that point, we'll be locking them in for 12 months if they want to stay longer. So
what's
just
no lease? What's the eviction?
So in Tasmania, you can still just end a lease at the end of lease and tenant moves out.
Okay. Yeah. So in a lot of other states at the moment, Joe, Victoria being led by Victoria, funnily enough, of course, good old Victoria. We love you down there, but yeah, interesting decisions. But yeah, even New South Wales as well. So no grounds eviction essentially means you can't just, you have to. I think they're looking to bring in New South Wales and potentially that it either has to be, like you can't even not renew a lease because you're looking to potentially sell the property. That's one of the reasons that they might not allow you. So it literally would have to be a couple of reasons. One of them, I believe, would be that it's dangerous to live in. And I don't know, there's very limited scope to end the lease. So it just kind of locks a tenant in place. And it just makes it hard for landlords to be able to mutually sort of finish a tenancy relationship.